Hello everybody. Right now I'm going to be doing a review about The Punisher 2004. And the only really, well-known name in the movie, the only big name is John Travolta. So with that, I will now give my review. Okay, this movie is not for kids. I mean, I'm not really want to talk, but it's not for little kids. I mean, I would not if I had, like a little brother who was like about 6, I would probably not let them see it because it does have quite a bit of gore and there's some nudity and it's got a lot of bad influences. But anyway, now let me get on to the review. All right. What can I say about this movie? I mean, seriously. It's it's got it's got an okay plot. I mean, it feeds off of the 1980s version, which I didn't see, but I heard about. And it was I mean, it wasn't really well received by critics, but it was very gory. I mean, and I will say that it wasn't like like lose your arm gory, but there was a lot of blood. I did like the way it was written though. It was very well written. And I will say that there was a lot of plot. It explained a lot of things. There were a lot of little things that went on in the future to help out with larger things that went on, which I thought was cool. Now, there was some action, but there was a glaring flaw about this movie, and that is, it was slow. Now, if you don't like to watch things that are slow, please, you probably don't want to watch this movie. But if you like the action involved in movies, you might want to watch this movie if you can handle the slow parts, because it takes a lot to get through it. I mean, it's kind of like there's a few moments where you just want to yawn. A few moments that they really could have done without some of them. But the action was okay if if you're a fan of action movies. One scene which really, actually there were a few scenes that were really good, and I gotta say what makes them so good is the creativity behind them. There is one scene where a man is taken down by a ballistic knife. Now, for those of you who don't know what a ballistic knife is, it's a knife that, it just looks like another knife, but when you push a button, it shoots the blade out, kind of like a bullet. So it can be used like at a distance too. And this one man gets a ballistic knife blade right in his throat, and that was very creative because there aren't a whole lot of movies that even use ballistic knives. There was another scene, which this is my favorite scene in the whole movie. There was a fight between the Punisher, who stands at 5'10", and this professional wrestler by the name of Kevin Nash, who stands at 6'10". And boy, he was big. I mean, I'll say that he took a knife wound to the shoulder. He took he took a crowbar to the face. I mean, he took whatever the Punisher threw at him, and the Punisher really he ended up looking like spaghetti after the fight. But what I liked was the creativity. The Punisher, he threw this pot of boiling oil in that guy's face, and it was very graphic. That's probably a part you don't want to let your kids see, because his face wasn't just burnt; it was like blister. His face was like all swollen up, and red. And then he took him down a flight of stairs, and well, the Punisher he landed on his head. Or no, the Punisher landed on the big guy's head, and basically crushed his head. And they showed a scene of his head from a close up. His puffiness was all busted open, and there was blood everywhere. It busted those blisters open, and his head was crushed. His neck was broken. Yeah, it's probably not a scene to show your kids. Another clever way of defeating someone that they had in the movie was one man took a paper cutter to the head. Need I say any more? I mean, that was well written. I mean, I'll say that because there's not that many blades that are that big. I mean, it was probably not a scene that you want to let your kids see either, because he looked like he was wearing a hat with a hot dog on it. Yeah, he had that paper cutter went right along the part in his hair. See, those were a few of the moments I did like, from the action. The action was really cool. And I'll say at the end they had a little bit of, once again they had that Western thing, a draw. Travolta and the Punisher get into a draw. The Punisher's name, by the way, is Thomas Jane. That's his name. And he gets into a draw with Travolta, and of course, Travolta, loses the draw. But he doesn't die then. So he ties him to a car by the headlight wire. I mean, sorry, by the tail light wire, and drags him through flames, which I thought, that was pretty cool, especially since Travolta had. This contains spoilers. Especially since Travolta had killed the Punisher's family. I kind of, thought it's like, an eye for an eye. You know what I mean? Another creative way that the Punisher got rid of someone was Travolta's son, one of his sons, where he put his hand out and he put a landmine in his hand and tied it to a string, or tied it with a string to the ceiling, and made him hold it with an outstretched hand. And I thought that was like something out of Saw. You know what I mean? And it was well written. I mean, I'll give it that. But there were quite a few slow moments in it that made it kind of uninteresting. And on that note, if I was going to give this movie 1 to 5 stars, I'd probably give it like 3. Because 3 is about it's right in the middle. I mean, there were quite a few slow moments that where I just wanted to sleep. And then there were quite a few interesting moments. But it did start out okay. I mean, for the first 5 minutes of the movie were really interesting. It was a little criminal deal. But other than that, there was a lot of the movie that really was wasting time. I mean, there was time wasted where they could have done something else that would have made it more interesting and would have made it better at the box office. So on that note, I just want to say, tell me what you think. Post your own comments. Make your own video responses. Do whatever you want. Just let me know what you think, and I'll be glad to hear it. So peace.